if I need it, I'll say rise from ruin, and that'll kind of be like, hey, like get your head out of your ass and get back to being just productive, whether it's an individual production, whether it's for business, or just a community.
Welcome to the Evolve Podcast, an open forum on personal growth and cultivating a positive mindset. I'm your host, Joe Fitzpatrick. Today on the show, we have my friend, Evan Dormont. Evan is a soft-spoken guy with a heart of gold and a passion for making high-quality body care products under his brand, the Urban Cabin Soap Company. His small but mighty operation creates vegan products that are palm oil free and smell great. He makes soap bars, shave soap, lotions, beard oils, and liquid soap. He also works at a local print shop in Glen Allen, Virginia, which specializes in designing, printing, and installing signs and decals for local businesses in Virginia. Outside of work, Evan loves riding his bicycle with friends, which is actually how Evan and I met via our mutual friend, Chenla Ou, on our Thursday night bike ride, Casual Encounters RVA. Evan and I bonded over our mutual love of hardcore music, tattoos, vegan food, and of course, bikes, and so much more. So, let's go. Evan, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Have you been on a podcast before?
Yeah, just audio.
What podcast was that?
My friend Ron did a little podcast called something, I don't remember. It was like years ago, but it was just kind of like me and him spitballing, talking about Urban Cabin Soap, and he has a candle company. So we were just talking about like our crafts. He's an old friend of mine, so we were just kind of like shooting the shit.
Right. And he's another soap maker as well, right?
He's a candle maker.
Okay, candles. That's right.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, Uncle Ron's Candle Co. Yep.
Cool. Well, before we get started, can you just briefly introduce yourself, tell people who you are, what you do for a living, and what you're passionate about?
Yeah, my name is Evan. I work full time at a print shop in Short Pump, Richmond, Virginia. That's my day-to-day, career.
Yeah.
On the side, I do Urban Cabin Soap Co. It kind of ebbs and flows in production. Right now, it's been pretty slow, just because of me and whatever I have going on. It'll ramp up soon. I've got some plans in the works.
Right.
Yeah.
And Urban Cabin Soap Co. is just you, right?
It's just me. Yep.
And you do that out of your house?
Yep.
How long have you been doing that for?
I started it in 2014.
Okay. So going on like what, 7 years now?
Yeah. It's crazy to think about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't think I'd still be doing it, but here we are.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you make specifically vegan soap and other like vegan like body products, correct?
Yep.
And
I started off with soap, just being just vegan soap strictly. And then from there, I kind of branched out and started doing beard oil, I think was like the first non-soap thing I did. and then I got into like room spray stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't last very long. I just thought it was like a little too simple. And from there, I like to challenge myself. From there, I started doing lotions, which I've never done before. I made a small batch and took a few times to kind of tweak things here and there. I had a really nice, successful lotion a couple of years ago, stuck with that recipe, and I've gotten some awesome feedback about it. So yeah, soap, beard oil, lotion, and shave soap, which is a little different than like regular body bar soap, which is like what I focus on. So, and they're all vegan. It's a vegan brand through and through.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you told me before that like you chose to make it vegan just for the cleanliness factor, right?
I chose to make it vegan just because soap doesn't need to be not vegan.
Right.
You know, any store bought brand uses a non-vegan approach to soap because it uses lard, which is one, very, very cheap, and
Mm-hmm.
two, very readily available to larger factories that produce bar soap. So they use it strictly from a price point perspective. Um, you don't need animal fat lard to make a nice bar of soap.
Mm-hmm.
So I researched that. That was my goal, to make it vegan um, without using that product. And, you know, I figured it out. The response to my bars is very successful. And, you know, it's just part of me reaching out into the bath and beauty products in a vegan approach.
Right. You're not actually vegan yourself. I know you're like vegetarian mostly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm vegetarian. I know it's out of my own, I guess, privilege, ignorance, probably. The only thing I just can't get over is like a good dairy ice cream and like a good dairy pizza. I think other than that, I haven't had a bite of meat product in about 10 years or so. I don't drink milk. I don't drink any dairy products. Um, yeah. So mostly just like specific dairy things. I just can't, from my own ignorance, I just can't block them out for whatever that is.
Do you do eggs as well, or just those couple of dairy items?
Just those two dairy items. I don't do eggs, partially because I just don't like the way eggs taste.
Mm-hmm.
And also just because, I don't know, I just think eggs are kind of gross.
Yeah.
Same way I think meat's kind of gross, like eggs are kind of gross. So,
When did you decide to be vegetarian?
um, about 9, 10 years ago.
Okay, so the last time you ate meat was
Yeah,
around that time.
yeah.
And what was your motivation for going vegetarian?
Um, I just was thinking about it. You know, I did a lot of reading, a lot of that literature from vegan perspectives, some videos from vegan perspectives, how it really does a lot of damage to our environment, and the business of like farming is just atrocious for our planet,
Yeah,
and just got me to thinking like I don't need to contribute to that, you know.
yeah,
And maybe along the line somewhere I will think more about my ice cream and pizza consumption from a different perspective, and maybe I'll get over that and contribute more to being environmentally friendly. And but you know, that takes time. I
of
know
course.
it's a
Yeah,
process for sure.
yeah,
But I still think the strides that I've been making to that in the last 10 years, still helpful. You know, I
yeah.
still think I'm doing something right? Even if it's just a little small personal footprint. I know it doesn't really have a vast impact on large companies just destroying everything.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it definitely is a big impact. I don't think you have to be fully plant-based, to have a big impact. Of course, it helps if you're vegan, but, you know, even the smallest step, like, some people just do like meatless Mondays, stuff like that, where like they don't eat meat on a certain day of the week or whatever. Like even that,
Exactly.
like that makes an impact. Every little what every little step towards being more plant-based is more beneficial for uh, the planet, for the animals, than doing nothing at all. So
Definitely.
yeah, you're
I think a
doing
lot of people can like be open-minded to that and maybe do like little things here and there, like maybe exactly like not like yeah, meatless Mondays would be a great start for someone who wants to help, but isn't necessarily ready to make a big change. It's a big change in diet. It's a big
yeah.
change in lifestyle. Takes a lot.
Or if they don't want to change their diet, they can just change their soap, right? Just get some
Exactly.
soap or
Exactly.
vegan personal care products, and
Oh
that
yeah.
has an impact as well.
Yeah, because you don't really think about that. Like a lot of people ask me when they find out that the soap that I make is vegan. The first question is, "How is soap not vegan?"
Right?
Well,
Like
you
you don't
just.
even think about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've been, vegan since 2017 now, so uh, going on 6 years almost. Um, and as I changed my diet, I definitely thought about food differently. I started for health reasons primarily, but then I learned more about, the harms of factory farming and, animal welfare. And I've watched tons of documentaries. In fact, um, recently, like today, I started watching Earthlings for the first time, which is another like groundbreaking documentary on factory farming and speciesism from the 90s.
Okay.
That's available for free on YouTube if anybody's interested.
Yeah, I
Um,
never heard of that one. I'll check that one out too.
yeah, it's really, really interesting so far. It takes like, a lot of different like historical perspectives, like comparing um, racism and like fascism to speciesism, and how like they're directly correlated. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but back to the soap.
Mm-hmm.
On a lighter note, um, why did you decide to start Urban Cabin? What was that motivation?
Um, I just have always kind of been a hobbyist. I like just creating things in general. Since I was a kid, I was really into like painting, artwork, design, music. I've always kind of had like a thing on the side, whether it was any of those. And nothing really stuck with me. Um, I do have like a lot of different things that I've tried. Some are successful, some aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think soap was another one of those things that kind of interested me at the very first. I kind of thought about it for a while, and I just never thought that I could do it. I didn't ever think I had the space for it, the time for it, the equipment for it. Um, and then I kind of saw a lot of people trying candles. I saw a lot of people trying soap. I saw a lot of people doing things. Well, once Instagram got started, you can kind of see everyone's creative outlets.
Yeah.
And it kind of hit me one day. I think I smoked a little bit of weed and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try it. Like I did some research online. It was kind of a high idea.
Mm-hmm.
I did some research online and I was like, oh, I don't really need all that stuff. I don't need a lot of space. I can use my kitchen. I don't need a lot of equipment. I just need like this thing, that thing, this thing. And since it's vegan, I don't need to worry about lard, animal fat, any of that stuff. You just get any kind of oil. Oil acts as your fatty substance in soap. And I read about lye. You need lye to make soap. So I just kind of went for it. I tried it. I think my first ever bar soap was molded in a bread tin,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it made me like 5 bars, and I set it out overnight, checked it the next morning, unmolded it and cut it and used it, as like a little hand soap at first, and it sudsed up and it was perfect. And I think from there I scaled up and I just really got into it. I really got into trying new things and challenging myself, and it stuck.
Have you been doing the same soap making process since you started that first time, or have you changed that up at all?
I changed it up. There's technically like 3 ways to make soap. There's cold process, hot process, and one called melt and pour. To give you a little background, melt and pour is kind of your cheat way to do it. You go to AC Moore or Michaels and you get like a little kit and it gives you directions and you do it. It's not from scratch technically. They give you the soap and you melt it and you scent it and then you pour it. So you melt it first, then you pour it, and then it hardens up again into a soap. I tried cold process first. It seemed the safest way to do it. So that's kind of where I started. I did cold process first. It just takes a long time. It takes maybe 2 weeks to a month to fully cure until you can use the bars. And it worked for a few years. I was doing it that way, but to produce it quickly is hard to do. So I
Sure.
read more about hot process. One of my soap friends were doing hot process, and I was like, I'm going to see about this. So tried that. It takes a lot faster to do. Maybe like instead of doing it 2 weeks to cure, it takes like a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do now.
Right. And since you're doing it yourself, that makes more sense, so you can produce more within a shorter amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, turnaround is way faster.
Yeah. And you've done some markets. I know you did some when you were living in Philadelphia prior to moving to Richmond, and you've done some markets here as well, like most recently the Southeast Punk Flea Market. Has that been the primary way of marketing your business to new customers in addition to social media and your website?
It helps. It's not the primary way, but it certainly helps. Yeah, the primary way is kind of just through Instagram, word of mouth. The Instagram algorithm is definitely fucked and kind of like rigged against makers like me, small businesses. Instagram does not like small biz. But I think like the combination of that, word of mouth, doing collaborations with bands and different brands kind of helps me push that too. And yeah, these markets help. The markets are fun. I think they're not used as like a promotional item for me. I think they're just used as a way for me to meet people in person, face to face, especially after 2020. It's definitely helpful for me to get out there and kind of like meet people.
Yeah. And can you talk about some of those collaborations that you've done?
Yeah. I've done one with a band named Koyo, another band called Anxious. I've got a couple in the works I can't mention at the moment.
Okay.
I've done collabs with some friends, one of which is named Megan Turbot. She's based out of Philly. She is an illustrator. We collabed on my lotion. She did the artwork for the lotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're awesome. They're so much fun. Great people to work with.
Do you do the artwork for your soaps, or do you work with another artist for that?
I do the artwork for my labels for the soaps. Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
and you said that use your print shop connections to get those labels printed.
Yep.
Hey guys, brief pause in the episode to tell you about some of the great businesses that support this podcast. First, we got Weight Train. Use code EvolvedPodcast to get 10% off all Weight Train and Athleticity gym gear and apparel. No matter what you need for your workouts, they have the gear to help you get it done. And if you don't see something you want, email them at team@weighttrain.com and they will take your requests for new products. Visit Weight Train for all your gym gear needs. Next is True Nutrition. Use code EvolvedPodcast to get 5% off all nutrition supplements. I'm personally a fan of their soy isolate vegan protein powder, available in a variety of flavors and strengths, from light to heavy. They also have non-vegan protein powders if that's not your thing. I personally recommend the cinnamon bun and toasted coconut flavors in the heavy strength, and I add them to waffles, oatmeal, protein shakes, and ice cream. They're delicious. Check out their wide range of supplements at affordable prices that are third-party tested and verified for content quality. They are able to provide such great prices because the supplements come direct from the manufacturer without any marketing gimmicks or fancy labels. Visit truenutrition.com to supplement your workouts and your nutrition. Last is Hate Brand Goods. Use code EvolvedPodcast to get 15% off all Hate Brand clothing and accessories. Their goat shorts and shirts are the most comfortable clothing I've ever worn, and they have the coolest designs. However, their clothing drops are only available in limited quantities, so get your favorites while you can, and be on the lookout for other drops that you're stoked on. Visit thehate.com, spelled HVIII, for clothing to remind the world that you're not dead yet, and you're ready to kick today in the dick. Back to the show.
Yeah, the artwork for the branding is a friend of mine. Seth Rogers is my guy. He does incredible illustrations. So he did my logo. He does different artwork for different like boxes. I have like a mystery box out right now. He did the artwork for that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy collaborating with different artists like on your business? It seems like that's like a really crucial part of Urban Cabin.
Oh yeah, I love it. I can't draw for shit. I fully admit that I am very bad at drawing. I can design, but drawing, it never stuck with me. So, I'm thankful enough for my friends, Seth and my friend Joey, to do incredible artwork for me. It helps stand out in the Instagram algorithm for sure.
How do you communicate your like creative design vision to them? Like, do you make sketches or is it just like by word of mouth?
It's just by word of mouth. I have, I'll have an idea or like a vision, that I think about, and I'll talk to Seth or my buddy Joey's World. And, we'll text about, what I'm thinking. Like I had an idea for the mystery box, and Seth was like, what do you think that should be? Should it be like a wizard or should it be something else? And I was like, I'm thinking like Sherlock Holmes style. And he was like, all right, I got you. And he's super quick, super intelligent guy. And he just like whipped it out, and it's awesome. It looks great. Same with Joey too. Like I used, Joey's World to help me do the labels for my liquid soap. Same thing with him. Like, what was the idea? This is the product. This is what I think would look cool. Someone just washing their hands over like a bathroom sink, and he nailed it, knocked it out of the park. And that's what I do. And that's kind of how our conversations and communicating goes. Very simple, straight to the point.
Mm-hmm. Plus you have a pretty good idea of like what their like creative style is. So,
Yeah.
you can sort of speak to that,
Hmm. The same thing I think with tattooing. It's like, well, I can't draw this, but I know that you can, and I know that
Yeah,
your talent and your vision will nail it.
absolutely. You got to trust the creative people who you decide to work with. And,
Hmm.
based on their work, you can put that trust in them because you know that the quality is there.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if you just have like a little bit of a light bulb idea and you kind of think what it will look like and you kind of imagine it, and then you send that to them and they come back with something that's either close or very far from your original idea, it's all their illustrations are always better than what you could ever think.
They're
And
the
you're just like,
expert, right?
damn. Yeah, like
Yeah,
you did it. You really did it.
yeah, definitely. So you mentioned you got some collaborations in the works.
Mhm.
What's another project that you are currently working on or have recently finished?
Um, I will be working on another thing with another illustrator friend, who's very near and dear to my heart, and he's going to do a great job. His name is Jeffy. He goes by Cut Ink. Um, I'm actually drinking out of one of his mugs right now. He
Oh,
designed that.
very cool.
Yeah,
Where's he based?
Philadelphia.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
So are you guys making a new product together?
he's gonna help me with some design. We're gonna do like a kind of design soap collab this time.
Sweet. Is that
Kind of like a
something?
one-off. Yeah, like a one-off thing.
And when you do the collabs, like I know you've done with the bands and some record labels,
Mhm.
like you usually like split the inventory, right? They sell some and you sell some. Is that what you plan to do with this guy?
Yeah, yeah. They're all a little different. The bands are a little tricky sometimes. One band will do it differently than the other bands. It all kind of depends, like um, what their preferences are.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
But I'm always flexible. I'm always down to meet their needs because I know
Mhm.
being in a band and touring is hard work. And if I could make it easier for them, for both of us, because
Yeah,
me, Urban Cabin is just me. The band is like 4 or 5, 6 people. So
right.
getting
You
everybody on the same page is a little difficult.
Right, absolutely. And you probably have to be a bit more accommodating to make sure that everyone in the band, feels like they're getting what they want, you know.
Yeah, for sure. That they're happy with it. That they're making some money. That they're not, just breaking even or whatever. So
Yeah, absolutely.
because touring bands need money too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you and I have in common, our love for riding bikes as well
Mhm.
as going to the gym and lifting weights.
Oh
So
yeah.
what's your current workout routine and how does it serve you in other areas of your life?
Oh man. It serves me mentally for sure. It really helps with my mental. Um, I guess to get into that a little bit, if I'm just having kind of like a weird day, um, if I'm just not really feeling it, if I'm going through some shit, if I go to the gym and I come out of there, I feel so much better
Hmm.
about myself. And that's really, aside from like the physicality of it, I think mental is super important. Um, and it's noticeable for sure. For sure. It helps you get out of a funk. It helps me get out of the funk for sure. Um, but I guess the other part of that is physicality. I've always kind of not been super confident in my appearance, and working on that and getting healthier and getting better physically is amazing. I do a lot of different routines in the gym. I also run. I started running. So.
And how long have you been running for?
Started actually like doing more running, taking it seriously about a year ago. I remember being in high school and doing like a little bit of running, maybe like once a month or so, just nothing really serious. But I go on a jog now probably once a week for a consistent year.
What sort of distances are you going for, or are you going for pace when you run?
I'm going for pace. I only really do like 2 miles. I'm not trying to do like a full cardio thing. My focus isn't cardio. So it just kind of helps me get out and be active. It's not like a goal oriented thing. Like if I do 2 miles, great. If I do 3 miles, great. If I do 5 miles, great.
Right.
It's just for a way for me to like get outside and be active.
Yeah. Being outside and being active is really the most important part. It's not only is it good for our physical bodies, it's good for our mental health as well. Being outside in green
just
space,
pop in some AirPods and go run. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I haven't done a run in a while. I used to run a lot. I started getting into running as like my primary means of working out in like 2017. And I wasn't really doing any weightlifting at that time. And I didn't really start getting into weightlifting until like 2020, really. I had done some here and there, but didn't really know what I was doing. Didn't really have like a lifting plan. After I got a coach for this like weight loss, strength training and nutrition program that I did last year, that really helped me feel more at ease in the gym and more knowledgeable with what I was actually doing. And with running, it is a great exercise to do, but I know like if you're trying to build muscle, it's not necessarily like the best if you're like doing like distance running. I've found biking to be much more enjoyable as a way of doing cardio, and it's also just more fun because you can go faster.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
With more people. We both participate in some local bike groups like Casual Encounters and Broad Street Bullies, to name a couple, and those are always a good time. I'm really grateful that we've gotten to know each other through the cycling community, and there's just so many cool people in our area who ride bikes, and
definitely like such a huge diversity in this community. It's great to see, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what helped? So you started with running. That was like the catalyst for your journey. I don't really know too much about like what you had went through.
Yeah. Well, let's flip the script then. So I was really in a negative cycle through like my teenage years and into my 20s. I didn't have a great relationship with my parents, and I had a lot of resentment towards my dad. And as I got older, I sort of lashed out more in anger. And I didn't drink in high school, but after I got to college, a year before I turned 21, I started drinking and getting involved with like the party scene there. And I joined a fraternity. I joined a rugby team, both really big party cultures at my college.
For sure.
And like drinking to excess blacking out, hooking up with girls, like all that shit was very much enabled. And it sort of became like my norm. And all the while I'm eating like shit, like I'm not vegan at all. And not really taking good care of myself. I was never really that active, but my dad encouraged me to play some sports in high school. Like I did football my freshman year, but I hated it. So I quit the team, and then he like gave me shit for it, which caused more resentment. And then I eventually just said I'll join the team again my senior year, but I didn't actually play. I just had to go to all like the fucking practices and go to the games.
Just to like make a point.
Just to make a point. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was kind of shitty, but it was what it was. And I guess I decided I wanted to join the rugby team because I like knew some people there, and I knew it was like a big like party culture. It was I guess a way to make myself feel cooler or whatever. And
so it sounds like it was just probably like the community, like you just needed like a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's what everyone needs. Everyone needs like a community, whether it's good or bad. You just want to be part of something.
Yeah, I definitely think that was part of it. And outside of that, like I got into music, like alternative music, when I was in high school, and I started like going to shows more, and like local shows in college, when I discovered our like local hardcore and punk scene through like friends that were playing in bands. And I really wanted to be a part of that scene, like to be part of that community as well. So I had an interest in writing and photography. So I decided to pursue a major in journalism. And part of the requirements for the journalism degree was to contribute to the college newspaper. So I signed on to that as a contributing writer and photographer. And I learned that, if you have a camera, you can get a certain amount of access to like go to shows for free, amongst other things. And I thought that was really cool. So I really like leaned into that as well. Like at the same time, I was doing all the partying with the fraternity and the rugby club. And I went through college and lived that lifestyle. And then after I graduated, I didn't really have a plan for what I wanted to do after college. And I was still very much in that partying mindset. And I had to go live back with my family in Virginia Beach. I was still feeling very resentful, towards them for the past, as well as like the present at that time. And I just wanted to get out of there. And my job opportunities were slim. So I sort of took the first chance I got. Like I went to this career fair at my college and saw someone that I knew that was like working at Babies R Us, Toys R Us at the time. And they had like a manager and training program. And I had never worked in retail before, but they asked me if I wanted to interview for it. And I said yes, because it was a potential job opportunity. And I got the job, and even though it wasn't what I wanted to do, like I accepted it, and I moved me up to Northern Virginia. And I took all my problems with me, to Northern Virginia. And
it's funny, like when you think you move, like that's gonna be like a whole different thing. You're gonna like change drastically, but man, it don't work that way,
No,
huh?
not at all. Yeah. So I moved up there in like September of 2012, November. Yeah, I get, well, no, it's like, it was in November of 2012 when I moved up there.
About 10 years ago, yeah.
And then like not even a month later, I get arrested for DUI. And that honestly, sucked at that time,
Mm-hmm.
but it was something that I really needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was the first of several wake up calls in my life that I needed.
Yeah, kind of a kick in the pants, like, hey,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was
make a change.
that was the third alcohol related charge that I had received. The first one was when I was 20, and I had alcohol. I was at a party that got busted, and because I had alcohol in my system, that was considered underage possession of alcohol. The second time was after a rugby party. I was really drunk, and I was outside, and the police showed up. They arrested me for drunk in public. That got dismissed later on in court. And then, this DUI charge. And then, thankfully, at the time, DUI first offense was a misdemeanor. It wasn't a felony. And I think about, like, if I wasn't white, the circumstances would probably be different. I think there are many areas in terms of like my run-ins with the law in the past, like it probably could have gone differently if I wasn't entitled to the white privilege.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
it's true.
Yeah, I mean, I got that, and I was on probation for a year, and as part of like my court requirements, I had to go to alcohol safety classes, and I had to go.
Did you do AA as well?
I was required to go to some AA meetings. I think I did 10.
Okay.
So that was my first exposure to 12-step meetings. And then also had to do group therapy. And
okay.
I talk about this in another podcast that I did in 2020 that I actually reshared in one of the earlier episodes of this podcast.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
hopefully this isn't too redundant.
This is all a recap of that, but
yeah, sorry everyone.
No, it's fine. Yeah, so I guess that is sort of like the culmination of how all my troubles started. In addition to that,
but that was the catalyst for you to make changes, and and that's very important.
Yeah, and also I was just a shitty, toxic person, and I had a lot of pain, a lot of sadness, a lot of resentment, a lot of self-esteem issues as well, and that I coped with that with drinking and sex and relationships. I acted out in a lot of my relationships in terms of being unfaithful to some of my partners. I struggled with pornography and objectification of women, and those are still issues that I'm continuing to try and do differently.
But at least you're willing and admitting your past and your willingness to change, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't do that. I talk about that stuff with my therapist too, like the fact that I know I need to talk some things out is a start. And I think everybody should go to therapy. Everyone, whether you think you have a problem or not, or if you're not willing to admit it, or because everyone's got something, and
Life is
I think
hard.
that's something really important to think about for everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's going through some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone you go or interact with or don't interact with is going through some shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it affects you personally, not you, Joe, you as the general you.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has issues,
Everyone's got something going on.
Even if it's not your issues, but it's someone and that affects you, like if it's a family member or a friend or a coworker or whatever, like,
we're like a complete stranger.
Connected.
Yeah.
We're all more interconnected than we realize, and it does affect our mental health.
Because I struggle with anger problems too. Like I've always had anger problems growing up. Lashed out a few times, and maybe I still have a little bit of fire within me, which I think is sometimes healthy to have.
Sure.
But I think like harnessing that and pinpointing where that comes from, and making sure not to outwardly lash out, I think is very important. That's what I'm talking about with my therapist now is, taking a moment to realize what's going on instead of just defense,
right?
Fight or flight kind of thing. I choose fight over flight.
Yeah.
And I try not to, and I'm working on that actively. A lot of that is maybe road rage.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot better for sure.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to recognize that anger is a normal, healthy emotion.
It is.
But how we choose to express our anger or react to something that makes us angry, that's the difference. Like,
that's the difference. Exactly.
You as an individual, me as an individual, we have the ability to choose how we want to respond to any situation that makes us angry or upset or otherwise. And it's definitely easier. I know my default mode is to, get defensive and
it's this reactionary,
try and protect ourselves, protect our ego.
Exactly. Yep.
Rather than actually responding in a loving and caring way.
A peaceful way.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of that is just like taking a moment and just like taking a deep breath, seeing the situation for what it is, and not just reacting immediately.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Especially in this day and age, it's hard to do because everything you see on the internet, every like news bit, like all the shit that we're fucking dealing with in this country, it's hard to like not be angry.
Yeah.
And sometimes anger like truly is a gift. Like Rage Against the Machine, like anger is a gift. Sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, like harnessing it in the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. They're channeling it to try and make positive change and also, point out the injustices in our world. And there are many of them. And
there are many.
It does weigh heavy on all of us. Like, I know when Roe v. Wade got overturned, that day was a very heavy day. Like,
it's a shitty fucking day.
Good fucking
Yeah.
day. I think everyone felt it, of course. You know, it
Hmm.
there's a lot of bad shit happening right now. And it's just, so much of a cumulative effect of everything that's happened with, women's rights being attacked, trans people's rights being attacked, women being attacked and like kidnapped on the street, fucking kids being kidnapped, black people of color being killed. This like Trumpist uh,
Hmm.
era that we're in of like politics. Um,
Hmm.
you know, and it's hard to stay positive through it all.
It is.
It
Yeah.
really is because you know, politically, um, it seems like everything is very bleak, and
Yes.
there's so much violence and hate towards
Hmm.
people
And it's
who
especially hard because, like, what can, honestly, realistically, what can we as individuals do? Like, what can we do? Um, there's some options. You can definitely protest. I think protesting is helpful.
Mhm.
I don't think it's realistically going to make a huge change in the politics of this country. I think it helps make an impact. I don't think that the people who have power will take it seriously, but I think we can also donate, fundraise, do things ourselves, grassroots style, help organizations get the funding they need to, like, um, abortion organizations. I think they need our help a lot. Um, Trans rights. I think as a white cis man, I think donating money and being like monetarily activist is smart. I can't always afford it, but shit, if I can, it's gonna go there. Um, so I think those are some ways to help. And
Yeah,
that's a way to positively think about it. You know,
yeah,
I think it's smart to think about things as realistically as they are, which isn't positive. It's pretty bleak, like you said. But I think the silver lining in that is individuals like us, like we are willing to help.
hmm
We can always volunteer for mutual aid, which I did a couple summers ago, which I'd like to continue to do once I have more time. Um, but yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And one thing that I have talked about before, and that I try to do, even though I don't know how successful I am with it, is just try to be a light of positivity, for other people, even if I'm not like always feeling it,
Hmm.
just to try and project positivity in a healthy manner when
Yeah,
appropriate. Um,
yeah,
because if that's my way of contributing to someone feeling better, like that's one way to do it for sure. And
definitely.
I
It
think,
sounds like you've made quite the change to be able to do that,
oh yeah, yeah.
which is
So
amazing. I think that's amazing.
thank you, man. And yeah, sort of getting back to that point that we were on, like um when after like I realized like I was living, after I really started to come to terms with how I was living and wanting to make a change. Um, I remembered that some friends in college told me how like running was helpful for them with like losing weight and stuff. And I I started running. I downloaded this app that someone told me about called Couch to 5K. And that helped me to train to run my first 5K race. And my family growing up was like much more athletic than I was. And I never sort of identified with that. But, you know, as I've sort of grown up and gotten in better shape through my own like preferred ways of moving, which was running, and you know that became trail running as well. And
yeah, runner's high is a real thing.
yeah,
It really
it helped me. It helped push me outside of my comfort zone in certain areas. It helped me to be more compassionate with myself, and I think it expanded my consciousness to make other changes in my life. So I ran, well, I decided to become vegan in 2017. You know, I was running a lot then, and I wanted to run a half marathon. And I was looking for ways to improve my running, and I watched a documentary called Food Choices, and that talked about the health benefits of a plant-based diet and how it's like it helps reduce inflammation and can improve endurance. So I decided like I wanted to do that, and I had just moved to Richmond like about a year prior to that, maybe less than a little bit less than a year prior to that. And I think that, you know, the culmination of my willingness plus like being in Richmond, much more of a like liberal, open-minded city than where I was before.
Yeah, it's very active too. I feel like just being around the like running, cycling community in Richmond, it's huge.
Yeah.
Like everybody is running all the time. Like I literally see someone running outside my window.
Yeah, it's really cool how there's like so many great places to go run, you know, lots of trees, especially like by the
Oh, Richmond is incredibly green. It's crazy coming here from Philly. It's such a stark contrast.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I love that as well. Part of the reason why initially I wanted to move to Richmond was just because of like the music scene, primarily because I love like the punk and hardcore scene, like I spoke to earlier. But I've definitely developed more of an appreciation for different parts of Richmond, like their like vegan food scene and the cycling community, like you spoke to. Richmond has a lot to offer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, after I became vegan, I, you know, ran the half marathon. I later ran a full marathon, and in 2019 I quit drinking. So that's where I'm at, man.
Amazing.
And you know, I'm evolving. I'm growing into, you know, the person who I truly want to be. And it's been quite the journey for sure. And you know, it's not over yet. Like
it never is.
A long way to go.
That's great.
But I do have more self-love for myself, and I do have more gratitude for where I'm at in my life now.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know you back then. You're a pretty new friend, but you definitely have a glow, like a nice light, you know, about you. And I'm sure it's a huge step forward in the right direction from where you were.
Yeah,
I love that.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always kind of been a little active in certain areas. When I was a kid, I was really, just like I said before, just really into the arts. But I also spent like a good deal of my childhood outside, you know, just playing, just being a kid, just spending my time outside before the internet came and fucked everything up for everybody.
Right.
You know, I was really into baseball. I played a lot of baseball. I played a lot of soccer. I was always kind of just like running and being restless. I'm still pretty restless. Um, and in high school, there was like a weight training class that was part of like the gym class. You can like weight train. Um, so I don't know. I was kind of always into that stuff. I was really into. I think my parents had a fairly decent sized backyard, so we played a lot of cash. We did a lot of like badminton, volleyball. I was always just, I don't know, it's just fun to do stuff. And as
Yeah.
I got older, always kind of fell into pits of depression here and there and here and there. And um, when I wasn't really being active and like doing those things, music was the help that I needed throughout high school. Um, that's when I got into punk and hardcore and aggressive music overall. Whether it was a metalcore, metal, whatever the fuck you want to call it, subgenres.
Right.
Aggressive music overall
Yeah.
was my pickup
Right.
since, because there was a sport time and then sports fell off. I think I tried out for my middle school baseball team, didn't make the cut. I got cut immediately after that practice, and was like, well, maybe baseball isn't really for me. And that was like kind of a depression episode. And then aggressive music came along and was like, this is how you deal with it.
Yeah.
Stop thinking that way, be aggressive, be a defensive. And that I did live my life that with those values, the hardcore metal aggressive values, for quite a long time, which, like I said before, anger is a gift. It does help you. It does save you from
Hmm.
yourself sometimes. Like when I would get into like the depression holes, which I still do, there's one quote that I really love. It's called "Rise from Ruin." It's just repeated over and over again in the song "Rise from Ruin." And I've written that down ton of times. And that's kind of like what's helped me get out of like the pits like that. Um, I think as I've gotten older, that motto has kind of faded away. I don't use it that much anymore. I don't use aggressive music as a catalyst anymore. I think I've gotten different, avenues to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think now I use more going to the gym, running, focusing on um, my connections with my friends. I think that's super, super, super important to me. Friendship and the relationship I have with my wife is super fucking important. The
Yeah.
relationship I have with my family is maybe sometimes a little off, but I make a definitely a strong effort to like be connected with them. Um,
Yeah.
so, but I think aggressive music had its time in my life. I don't think it's that important to me anymore, but it's definitely helped me.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really huge in terms of your mindset shifting from, sort of pulling yourself up on your own to, um, you know, relying on the people who love you and support you,
Mhm.
to, be that accountability, but also, just to, um, I guess practice gratitude for those people and, for what they bring to your life, and use that as your motivator for, having someone to reach out to,
Exactly.
if you
That's really all we all have, right? It's just
right.
keep friendships, because families can be strained for sure, but if you just have like a nice bond with not even like a ton of friends, you know, like just a few friends here and there that you can like really reach out to and when you're going through some shit, you know, that's all I need. Damn, like if I'm really going through some shit, I text my best friend every single day, just to like say what's up and like share music and like you know talk about whatever. And it's just a really helpful thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man.
And
What do
my
you do?
wife is my best friend too. Like whenever I need to like you know talk something out or like think of something, like she's always here for me. I'm always here for her, and that's the strongest relationship I have.
I love that, man.
Yeah,
And your sister, she's the one that got you into aggressive music, right?
indirectly, yeah. She's an influence for sure.
She was listening to it and you like looked into it yourself, that type of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
I
She's
love
10 years older than me, so um, I think myself growing up was around the grunge explosion. She was already maybe 18 around that time, so I was 8 in what year was that? 93. I was
Mhm.
8 in 93, so that was like prime time grunge
Oh yeah.
explosion. You know, I watched a ton of MTV around that time, and it was just like, you know, putting grunge into your fucking veins. It was just like Kurt Cobain on TV all the time, Nirvana, Pearl Jam was on TV all the time, and dude, I got sucked right into that shit immediately. And my sister went out and got me my first CD. It was Pearl Jam versus. She gave that to me. I think I had that CD and like a few cassettes. I had the Offspring Smash cassette, and from there, it just kind of evolved. I just got really into stuff that was like that grungy, sort of punky, fast, you know, heavy kind of shit. And then she went off to college, and I was kind of home. Um, and she left behind like a little box of CDs, and I was like, huh, I'm gonna check this stuff out. I think she had an Orange 9mm CD. She had a Rage Against the Machine CD, a few other like Equal Vision record CDs. So I just popped it in. It was like heavier, more aggressive music. And I was like, all right, I'm getting into this. And then new metal came around and became popular.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a streamline to that. And I was like really, really, really into Korn. I was really, really into Limp Bizkit because it was just like harder, aggressive,
Yeah.
faster stuff. You know, when I went into high school, there was a lot of, you know, hardcore scene kids in my high school, a grade above me. And they were all wearing like really cool shirts and really cool patches. And, you know, I saw those dudes and was like, this stuff looks really interesting. It looks like aggressive. So I'm going to like seek it out for myself. So I did that. And then, you know, you go deeper and deeper and deeper into those subgenres. And you're like, man, like, I just like love aggressive music
Yeah.
around that age. Um,
And it's the perfect music for that age too, because like you're so
yeah,
angsty, you know,
they're
and
so
you just want to
they're all
scream.
fucking angsty.
Yeah.
There's emotions and all sorts of hormones, and it's a crazy weird time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah,
cool,
and then you
man.
start going to shows and you see you know these bodies just flying into each other, and it's a lot of fun. And I've had moments where I love that stuff, and then I've had moments in my life where I'm like done with it. Like I don't need to be angry like this anymore.
Hmm.
And I feel like I'm getting out of that part a little bit more. Um, I think nowadays I more so enjoy um, alternative music, not as aggressive, not as loud, screaming kind of stuff, which I listen to at the gym as a motivation. But I think like on my own, like I have records behind me. A lot of those records are like indie rock, classical rock, um, just like upbeat, enjoyable. pop structured music.
Mm-hmm.
Shit that you could just like feel good about, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I
So you could
relate
just
to
like
that.
dance. I'd rather like dance to something instead of like mosh.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I also prefer like a lot of hardcore and like heavy music at the gym. But when you're just chilling at home, it's nice to play something a little bit more laid back, like Karangabin, or also have like Bonnet
Mhm.
Bears, shit like that. So
Yeah,
totally get you on that, man.
yeah.
Just out of curiosity, when you're in a creative slump, what do you do to get out of it?
I take time. Like with Urban Cabin, like I said
Yeah.
before, there's ebbs and flows to it. Um, if I'm just not feeling it, I'll just stop for a little bit because I know that if I push myself to be productive, it's not going to be good. Like I want to make my focus on a good product.
Hmm.
If I'm not feeling it that day or that week or that month, I'll just stop. I won't close my online store. Like if I get an order, great. I'll just pack it up and ship it. But I'm not pushing out new stuff. I'm not like actively making new products like the lotion or the shave soap or new artwork or anything like that. I'll take a moment and kind of take a breather session. Like, I just moved and moving was a lot. It was pretty stressful. So I kind of put the brakes on Urban Cabin. I was like, this is not my priority. It's not my moneymaker. It's a good, thing on the side to help. Um, but when I feel like I'm ready to get back into things, once the dust has settled, especially after this move, I think within the next week or two, I'll get back into it. And to answer your question, I think the biggest motivation is, I guess, the easiest way to get out of that creative slump, um, is to just be ready. Just be ready for it mentally.
Yeah.
Um, take a moment, take a break. When you're ready, get back into it.
Yeah.
So I think and you make a deadline too. I need to make a deadline. I'll be ready 2 weeks.
Right.
I'll feel good about that, and I'll make it so. I'll make it happen. I just have
Yeah.
to tell myself that.
Smart.
I don't
Yeah.
need to like write it down in a calendar. I'm not like a big calendar documents guy. I just have to tell myself like, hey, now was a good time. You know.
You also do a monthly Patreon subscription, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So do you have like enough inventory like that you make so that when you need to take those breaks, you have that uh, saved up?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I have that kind of prepped in the background. Yeah. Patreon is just an every month thing, and I don't need to really promote it. I probably should more, but the Patreon subscribers that I have are just amazing, and they've stuck around for a couple of years, and they get a box every month. Um, and yeah, I kind of have a stock in the background.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, at least you know like when you'll need to be sending those out, so you can also
Mhm.
plan around that too.
Exactly. I could
Mhm.
this the move that we just had. I think I sent the June box out like a week or two earlier than I usually do. So that gave me a lot of time to pack, prep, clean, and all that stuff. Um, and those get shipped at the end of every month, typically like the 20s of every month. So today's July 9th. So I have a couple weeks to make some more stuff. Like I said, 2 weeks,
Yep,
I'm back into it.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
Do you have any habits that you practice that help you to stay productive, remember new ideas, or add value to your life? And if so, what are they?
Mm, hmm, hmm. Not really. I don't really do a lot of like routine practices. I have tried the meditating app Calm. It's
Mhm.
okay. Um, I think my routine is just kind of like being able to take a break from things. I think my Saturdays are a way for me to kind of relax if I'm not going anywhere, like a vacation, if I'm not like doing anything.
Yeah.
My wife works Saturdays, so that's kind of my time. That's my time to kind of let my brain leak out a little bit, read a little bit, watch TV, kind of clean up. I think maybe that's a routine. I'm just not thinking about it that way. I think cleaning and doing chores is like kind of my way to kind of like reset and prep myself. Being not like healthy isolation.
Right. It's
For
not
sure.
isolation, but it's just taking
Exactly.
time for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really just the way that I handle things. And that's the best way for me to be a good version of myself, is to just admit like, all right, we need a break. Saturday is a good break.
Yeah. Yeah. Good day for it, especially
It's a
when
great
you're
day.
working Monday through Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a morning routine that you like to do?
During the week, I don't really have that much time. I sleep in later than I should. But during the week, Monday to Friday, I'll give myself about 20 minutes and I'll take a shower if I need to. Maybe not. Maybe I'll sleep in a little longer. I have gotten into the habit of making protein smoothies that I drink in the car on the way to work. I have about a 20-minute commute. I'll typically make a sandwich or bring some leftovers with me. That's kind of my routine during the week, is, give myself enough time just to pack some shit to
Yeah.
go to work. Podcasts in the car in the morning. Weekends are a little slower getting up. I think I got up today around 9:30, around 10 maybe. Slow morning start. Saturdays are my favorite.
Same.
Yeah. Made some coffee, had a little breakfast. I went to Stella's Market around the corner. Got some more coffee. I needed a reload. So
And you
yeah.
guys have a cat too, right? Kima?
Yep. Kima. She's chilling right now. She's right on the floor in front of me.
Get some cuddle time with the kitty.
Yeah. She likes the new apartment a lot. She's had a lot of new smells and some outdoor time, and yeah.
Awesome. I want to move towards wrapping up. I have a few recurring segments on the podcast that I
Cool.
like to cover before we close it out.
Mm-hmm.
First off is the mindset moment. What is a quote or tip that you use that inspires you to keep going and stay positive despite personal hardships?
I think that quote that I mentioned before, "Rise from Ruin," is still poignant in my life. Like, I don't use it all the time. I don't really have a mantra or a motto or quotes that I go by on any regular basis. I think if I need it, I'll say "Rise from Ruin," and that'll kind of be like, hey, like, get your head out of your ass and get back to being just productive, whether it's an individual production, whether it's for business, or just a community. Sometimes I don't want to go to Broad Street Bullies. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I feel like I need to be around people in that, large community setting, and I'll go.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll get a little nervous before, but once I'm there, it's a great time.
And is that coming from like social anxiety, or is it the depression? Which is
Social
it?
anxiety for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot about what people think of me. And that's another thing I'm using therapy for, is people aren't thinking about you or talking
Right.
about you, so there's nothing to worry about.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
I struggled with social anxiety too, as well as depression.
Mhm.
That was one thing that I wanted to ask you is like, um, do you like medicate for depression in any way, or like
No,
self-medicate? No,
no. I drink for social consumption. I don't drink by myself.
that's good.
I don't think ever. I maybe will smoke a little bit of weed sometimes by myself, but that's also like kind of a social thing.
Hmm.
Um, just because I know that like those things for me by myself in the past have not been good.
Right.
And now I know my body and my mind well enough where I know my limits.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely have a better grasp on what my limits are now too. I realized alcohol wasn't really adding any value to my life, which is why I decided to quit drinking.
Hmm.
I, sort of leaned more into cannabis as a way to relax. I liked it. I heard someone describe it like drug use and alcohol use. Um, it's all a drug, but it's really about like the intention behind it. You know,
Hmm.
whether it's to connect or disconnect. You know, I
Hmm.
think
Right.
I think if you can use it to connect in a social aspect and you're not, overdoing it, you know your limits, um, you know what works for you versus what doesn't, like that's fine. Like you can, definitely drink and it, be healthy to a certain
Exactly. Because I mean,
degree.
I've
Yeah,
definitely, and it's a lesson that it's just needs to be learned. Like I
right.
know that I wasn't great when I was drinking a lot,
Yeah,
socially and non-socially, and um, lost a couple friendships along the way because of that, and that was not a fun time. And you know, um, saw that within myself, admitted it to myself, um, tried on a few occasions to help rebuild those bridges with those people in the past, and just didn't work, and
yeah,
that's okay.
right.
That's
Sometimes
all
it's
right.
not.
Same thing with smoking. It's not for me.
Yeah,
I've tried it. I've tried drinking and smoking at the same time. Those two things for me don't work. I learned that the hard way. Um, and if I smoke at all, very little,
hmm,
especially socially. I know what my head gets like, and it's not a good space for me. Drinking socially, I can do more of it because, again, I know my limits. 2 to 3 beers is where I stop. I'm loose enough, I'm goofy enough,
hmm,
and that's all I need, you know?
yeah. I know you have a fair amount of tattoos on you, so I was wondering, do you have Rise from Ruin tattooed on you?
I don't.
Do you
No.
plan to?
No, I'm not like a big word tattoo kind of person. I have like maybe one line that's
Uh-huh.
words right here.
What does it
It's
say?
just it's a TV show reference.
Okay.
There was a fish in the percolator. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a show that I like.
What show is it
um,
from?
Twin Peaks.
Okay.
I think it's episode 1, season 1, or episode 2, season 1. Yeah, it's early. But yeah, I'm not like I don't know. I'm not like a big quote guy.
I
So
gotcha.
yeah, I don't know if I'll ever get Rise from Ruin. I just know that it's an old mantra from a band that I used to like, that I still like, that I respect, from a
Hmm.
writer that I respect. It's helped me in the past. If I need it, I know where to find it.
Yeah. Next is PMA Warrior of the Week. Who is someone who inspires you to keep a positive mental attitude?
Man, so many people. my wife, really. She's someone I just I just want to be myself around her, and she has helped me with anger issues. Kind of helps me, like, she is like the realistic one. I'm more of a head in the clouds kind of dude that I need to be grounded sometimes, like not like, you know, come back to earth a little bit.
Mhm.
And super thankful and forever full of gratitude for her. And yeah, I think that's the motivation that I need is from my wife, because I see her every day, you know. Love to be around her every single day. And if I'm being shitty, you know, that's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not a fun, positive way to do things. So
Uh-huh.
um yeah, her, my friends, my family, that's really the people that I invite into my life, help me in different aspects. And yeah,
As they
I
should.
mean, yeah. But
Yeah.
I can't think of another like outside source other than close relationships that I could think of. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last is good food, good mood. What's one of your go-to meals that helps you to feel your best?
Oh man, I love pizza.
Yeah, and you've
Um,
you make it yourself, right?
yeah, yeah. That's another hobby I'm getting myself into. Uh, yeah, pizza is awesome. Uh, I love the process of it. Yeah, it just feels great. Like, yeah.
And you have a starter that you have a very cool name for, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. My so I make a sourdough pizza, which I used to just make like a regular bread dough. You've tried the regular bread dough recipe. It's
Mhm.
okay. It's not the best. And then I got into sourdough starters and using my sourdough starter as sourdough bread, sourdough pizza dough. And I named it Howie Mando, because there's tradition, if you make a sourdough, to name your sourdough, because it is a living organism.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I
So
named it Howie Mando.
do you keep Howie in your fridge?
Yeah, you got to feed it once a week.
And what do you feed them?
It's water and flour, like all-purpose flour.
Hopefully that makes Howie happy.
It does. If it's bubbling, he's happy.
Well, I would love to try some sourdough pizza sometime. I think that'd be great.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
and do you think you'll ever make Urban Cabin pizza? Is that like the next product that's going to launch?
Mm, I don't know. I don't know. Not there yet.
We'll see.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. Where can people connect with you if they want to follow along with your journey and maybe buy some soap?
Yeah. Oh man. Follow me on Urban Cabin Soaps on Instagram. Urban Cabin Soaps on Twitter to hear me talk about basketball and all that kind of nonsense bullshit. Yeah, Twitter, Instagram. I don't have Facebook. I don't really use my personal Instagram. Um, yeah, Urban Cabin Soaps, urbancabinsoapco.com.
And what's the Patreon?
Patreon is patreon.com/Urban Cabin Soaps.
Awesome. Thanks so much,
Sir.
Evan. Great talking to you,
Thanks,
man.
man. Yeah, great talking to you too.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out our podcast. I hope you got a lot out of it and it was helpful for you in your personal growth journey. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, please do so on your preferred podcast provider. We're available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Stay blessed and keep the PMA. Later.